Good afternoon. I hereby reconvene the special meeting of the Waterloo Community Schools Board of Education. And we have one item on our agenda today, and that is to approve a motion that the Board of Education approve a contract with Dr. Jane Lindeman to become the next superintendent of the Waterloo Community Schools effective July 1st, 2014.
So moved.
Motion and a second. And just for a discussion, we've now had with the motion for approval of Dr. Jane Lindeman as superintendent. I'd like to start the discussion here now by talking a little bit about the process that we've gone through, and then I'll turn it over to the other board members for their comments. When Dr. Norris announced his intentions to retire, I think we as board members all felt the gravity of the decision that we were about to make and the job that it takes to choose his replacement. It is an absolutely huge decision as a board. It's one we don't take lightly. And it's one in which we all know it won't be perfect or easy or make everybody happy. But our focus first went to what do we need in our next superintendent? And we started thinking about the qualities and characteristics that we needed in a superintendent. Somebody who has a student's first philosophy was discussed. Somebody who's open and accountable, somebody who has great integrity, somebody who has great communication skills, someone who knows urban education, somebody who's a driver but also tactful, somebody who knows data and pedagogy. The focus then also went to where are we as a district now and where do we want to go in the future. And so during the last several weeks, each of us as board members thought about that and really looked into it. For me, I've been encouraged by that time over the last few weeks of finding out, kind of taking a snapshot of where the district is. And that's been made, that snapshot has been made by talking to people and hearing from people inside and outside of the Waterloo schools. I think generally the district is on the right course, but we still have work to do in implementing the many changes that have taken place over the last several years, or correcting and tweaking those few changes that maybe aren't quite as effective or other areas in which we need to work. I also heard a lot specifically about the 21st Century High School Task Force and the tremendous amount of work that's gone into that, but the tremendous optimism of those committee members on the task force. So as a board, last Tuesday, we met for the first time to discuss the superintendent search process and also the items about what we were looking for in a superintendent. When we discussed the search process, we went into the internal search and the external search options. There are certainly advantages and disadvantages to both the internal and external search. The internal search is often a little more difficult, it's a little trickier, but it comes with many advantages as well. For me, this was a very worthwhile discussion to go into looking through the external search and the internal search. If ever there was a time to do an internal search, I thought from the time Dr. Norris announced his retirement, this might be the time to do it. That would be breaking tradition from the past of the Waterloo School District when we almost always hired from outside the school district. But we thought it might be good to have somebody who knows our district, somebody who understands our district, and doesn't need to spend a lot of time learning about our community as well. So we decided to start the internal search before we went with the external search process, and that's what we've been doing for a couple weeks. Since our last meeting, board members have fanned out, and we knew we couldn't talk to everybody, but we tried to talk to, and most importantly, listen to as many people as we possibly could over that time. And I think all 7 of us have done that. We've worked incredibly hard to find the broadest perspective possible by talking to people inside and outside the school district. And Dr. Lindeman emerged as an internal candidate. So we then started considering Dr. Lindeman and talking, and again, most importantly, listening to other people about Jane and the possibility of having an internal candidate. We knew that having an internal candidate brings its own challenges in terms of working through. But what happened is we went back to going to those qualities that I talked about before that we're looking for. Somebody who has integrity, who has great communication skills, who's a driver, who's tactful, those sort of things. And when it came to looking at that and looking at Dr. Lindemann, to me, it was clear who our next superintendent should be, and it was Jane, because she possessed all those. So we went through that process where we looked and figured out what do we think is best for the Waterloo schools. And then we compared those to Jane. And Jane blew me away by her integrity, her intelligence, incredible intelligence, her compassion. Jane is hardworking, she's honest, she's fair, she's tactful. And most importantly to me, Jane has a fire in her belly to help the kids of the Waterloo schools. I wholeheartedly support her as the next superintendent of the Waterloo Community School District. And with that, I'll turn it over. Any other board members who would like to make a comment?
I was like, Mike took all the thunder. We don't have much left that we have the opportunity to say. I would just say, in the process, I'm very grateful to the community for allowing us to reach out and making sure that your voice was heard, and as to what this process would look like, and also letting us know what direction, what things we need to work on, and what things we are currently doing well. It was as a new board member, exciting to hear. In the conversation in the past, it's evident that students first was the first thing and the most important thing that I know that Jane possesses, and that she has continued throughout this process to express, which is the thing that really won me over, is that students first, and knowing the students and applying all of that whenever you're thinking about what you're doing in the district. Is this what's best for our students? And that is what the whole goal of the board is. So I again, with Mike, I completely am backing Jane for the next superintendent.
Well, welcome aboard, Jane.
You haven't voted yet.
I'm pre-dissing the vote, I guess. But as we did this, we did seek input from lots and lots of people. And I appreciate everybody that did offer their input. And like I said, with an internal candidate, that comes good and bad, because you hear the good and you hear the bad. And there are people that love you to death, and there are people that don't like you so much, and that's okay. You know, that was a decision we all had to make. And you know, when we went through this process at the beginning, your name was the first name that came up to my mind. So whenever I have had questions as a board member, I have come to you and I've gotten the answers, and I appreciate that. And I think that you do have the kids in mind. And I think one of the things that swayed me a lot was versus internal versus external is we have a candidate that's internal, that knows the school district, that knows the kids, that knows the schools, that's come up from grassroots basically. Or we bring someone in that might have superintendent experience, but that doesn't know Waterloo, that doesn't know our kids, that doesn't know the building. So is it easier to hire a seasoned superintendent, or is it easier to hire a seasoned employee and who will be a great superintendent? And I just appreciate your hard work, and I just look forward to continuing it.
Yeah, see, you're taking all my words. In fact, I had written down, I'm so glad to have you on board. So now I'm the second one. Choo-choo. And while we've had some success in the district, I think that we have even more to do. And I really look forward to working with you together. I think we've got a great team assembled. I think we have a super bright future in Waterloo. And I'm so proud to call you our next superintendent. So, yay.
Oh, daydreaming. Well, the first time I met Jane, I thought, she's really something, and I'm afraid she's not going to stay here long. She's going to look for someplace else, and perhaps superintendent. I'm so glad she decided to look here. And I'm very proud of her, and we're very supportive of her, and so happy to bring her aboard.
I'm happy to see Jane apply for the position. I think that she'll do a good job. I think that through the discussions we've had with staff and parents, teachers, that we've learned some things that we still need to accomplish, and that it's really been good to go through this to get a fresh look. And I think we have come a long way, but we have a ways to go. And I'm sure we have the right person in place to do that. Thanks.
I would start just by commenting with Mike, commenting that I think the process was correct, where we evaluated the existing initiatives, tasks, goals, and objectives of the district. So we define the needs of the district at this point in time, and they change periodically. And so then the next step was to hire a superintendent whose skills and motivation align best with those needs. So we feel Dr. Lindeman is well qualified to guide the district in meeting those goals, so congratulations. And we ask everybody in the district to join this board in a 100% effort hereafter to make not only the superintendency a success, but the Waterloo Schools a success in meeting the very goals that we identified as our objectives. So congratulations.
Well, we may do, if there's no further discussion, let's take our vote. Jane, we may turn it over to you for some final comments before adjourning.
Maybe we say no.
If there's no further discussion, what I've asked for is a roll call vote to approve the motion to hire Dr. Lindeman, superintendent. Start Shane McNally,
Yes.
Sue Flynn,
Yes.
Angela Weekly,
Yes.
Andrea Sparks,
Yes.
Mike Kinchy,
Yes.
Lyle Schmidt,
Yes.
Mike Young, yes. Motion carried unanimously. So congratulations. Jane, you've made history. Waterloo's ever had a woman as superintendent before, but you'll make history in many, many of them. There are very bright days ahead, so thank you. Would you like to say?
Sure, I would. Yeah, give me the mic and I'm ready. You know, this has been the most interesting process that I've ever been through, just because when you hire an internal, I believe we would all agree that you get scrutinized at an even higher level from an external candidate. And so, you know, that has been an interesting process for me. I actually am really glad the board chose to do that, because I think that it just puts everything, you know, I'm really, I'm a firm believer in being transparent and being open and honest, and I think this process allowed that to happen. So to the point where we ended up having this press conference an hour and a half late, because we were just really making sure that we had the right vision, the right goals for the superintendent coming in, and I'm really confident we did that. So I apologize to everybody who waited so long for us, but I think it was really important that we did that, because I think we're pretty solid now. So I've been with Waterloo for 9 years. To be honest, when I came to Waterloo, I really didn't, you know, I didn't really think I would be here that long. That's an honest answer. I thought, well, you know, it'll be a new experience for me. I'm always up for a challenge. I think it'll be great. And then what happened is I fell in love with Waterloo, and fell in love with the students, and the staff is fantastic. I really think we have the best staff in the state. And we've done a lot of great things. So really my mission is really taking the vision that we have and implementing it successfully, and, you know, answering some of the question marks that still exist for some of the initiatives. I know staff is sometimes has some questions about how to make it work, and rightfully so. I think parents have some questions about how we can serve them better and help them serve their children better, and all of those things are extremely valid. So I'm thrilled to have a 7-0 vote. I'm thrilled to have that, and looking forward to it. I can't wait to get started. I'm going to finish my current job. I've got plenty to do on my plate, but, you know, I'm ready to start on July 1, and looking forward to, you know, my husband and my family and I are really looking forward to being part of the community, and it'll be great.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Jane, and welcome aboard. That will conclude the action items on our agenda. Thank you all for being here. I'd like to thank everybody involved during this process, to kind of add on to what Angela said and what some others have said. We appreciate everybody's input, and it's been a process that I think has been helpful, because again, I think the look we were able to take at the Waterloo schools for me has been very positive. And I think for many others as well. And we're very, very excited for the future. So thank you all. Last thing I'll say is I'm sorry we kept you a little bit late here, especially on a Friday afternoon, but thank you for being here. If there's nothing further, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
And all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Chair votes aye, motion carried, we're adjourned. Thank you all.